I set basically the goal of just kind of having it rented out enough to pay for it and then using it the rest of the time. So it's not really a business for us. It's just we don't want to pay for it essentially all the time. And it helps us do that. And a lot of other van owners are doing that same thing. My name is Eric Rzuski. I'm originally from Indiana. I came out to California when I was in the Marine Corps, and then when I got out, decided to stay. So now I'm here in San Diego, and I am 36.
And what type of vehicle do you have here, and do you have a name for this van?
I do. So this is a mid-roof Ford Transit of 2016, and its name is Griswold. The National Lampoon's Family Vacation, Griswold, that whole genre is something I really love, and you'll see a lot of that when you come inside the van.
I love it. I love that too. I think you have other vans, but if you want to talk about why you chose this van and maybe other vans.
This van specifically, our family, we have another little one on the way, so we needed a sleep for, seat for, but a lot of the models that you have for those are either longer wheelbase. We wanted to stick with the shorter wheelbase. Just parking here in San Diego is not ideal all the time. So in looking how to do that, we figured the pop top was the best option for that. We have a 1995 Euro van as well, and we love the pop top ability of that, but if you've been in one, they are still pretty small. So we started researching a little bit. We found Colorado Campervans who do these incredibly awesome pop tops, and then got very lucky that we found one on Van Trader that was for sale. It was already converted, already done by Overland Van Project with the Colorado Campervan pop top. Sent a message to the owner, and a little bit later and some negotiation, here we are.
So are you full-time or part-time, and do you have any other dwellings like a house or apartment?
We got very lucky. We got a condo with the VA loan from my military service here in San Diego about 2.5 years ago. And then we will do long trips in the van, but for the most part, the van is also rented out as well to let other people kind of test out this environment and see if van life is for them. So the van is on the road for give or take about 170, 180 days out of the year.
And how long have you been doing vehicle dwelling?
This would be 2 years or so since we've kind of gotten into the camper van space. We're really interested in tiny houses as well. Here in San Diego specifically, tiny houses are a very hard thing to have. There's a lot of regulation and government issues with it right now. So we're looking into some other alternative living options and alternative just ideas to get out of the city, and we landed on camper vans for sure.
When you're traveling, who are you traveling with?
Normally, I'm with my family. It'll be my wife, Carly, and our daughter, Penny. We do a bunch of adventures. They're not only my family, but they're my best friends. So we travel, we hike a lot, we go to a lot of really cool places. I also work out of the van quite a bit when it's around. So I've set it up to where it's kind of a mini office for me as well. With my job, it's a work remote or work from anywhere. Sometimes if there's a thunderstorm up in Mountain Laguna, I will just take off for the day. I'll message into work and say, hey, I'm going to work out of a thunderstorm, and they support it. They want me out there and on the road and happy and enjoying this life.
Happy and enjoying life? That sounds like travel snacks. All you gotta do to become part of the snack pack is hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Throw a like on this video and keep watching till the end to see more of Eric's story. Just a little bit about the van. Is it all custom, or was there any DIY to it?
The majority of the van, when we picked it up, the Colorado Campervan rooftop was already done. The seating arrangement that you see behind me was professionally done by Vominos Vans. That's pretty recent, and behind you there was just a big kitchen area that was gutted out, transferred some things around, moved some things around, and got this secondary seating in there. And then there's some small DIY projects that are going on currently right now. So there'll be some new solar panels going to the top, and then we just put 2 new Battleborn batteries into the back. We had some older gel style ones that just were not cutting it for us, so upgrading that quite a bit right now.
What got you into this lifestyle? Like maybe a little bit of your story.
I had been honestly just bugging my wife for a really long time for a camper van with a lot of no's and like, no, we don't need one, we don't have space for one, we can't afford one right now, a lot of these things. So I started to just get creative and started to look into this Airbnb model that was starting to spread kind of everywhere, of like, you can have something and you are technically the owner of it, but you rent it out to help pay down the costs. So that was what we started doing. We found a really beautiful 1995 Euro van that we call Yeti. That's our first baby, and it's still our baby. We still have it. It is for sale right now, but that got us into our first van, and we started renting it out pretty much right away. We went on a couple of trips, but luckily with that van, we as a family never really paid on it. So all of the payments that we've had, all the insurance, all the maintenance has actually come from the rental side from GoCamp. So that has been really awesome, and knock on wood, so far this van as well, we have not actually paid on it yet. It's been all through rental, so it helps us to kind of have two vans, otherwise it would not be an option for us. And I think the idea for me is just this idea that you can be in a city environment, and then you can literally just hop in your van and you can just leave. You can go anywhere, and you kind of have all the comforts of home, especially with a little one. She loves camping, she loves hiking, but there are limitations when you have a 3-year-old and you want to do some kind of really gritty camping style. She likes the amenities. She likes the fact that there's lights in here and that she can plug in her iPad, and she is a technology kid. So that was one of the things that really drew us to this kind of lifestyle. And then just, I think, the nomadic way. I think people in a lot of ways are still very nomadic. I know I am, and the ability to just kind of get up and go sometimes is really important to us.
So when you were first nagging your wife about getting a van, what made her take the leap and be like, oh wait, I think you're onto something with this?
Honestly, the funny thing is that at that time I had a 2012 Kia that was my everyday driver, and I basically said I was going to drive that thing until it died on me, and then we would make a decision there. It died a lot quicker than we actually thought it was going to, so that car basically said no more. It was done, and at that time it was either go get another car or finally kind of jump into the camper van space. That would be my everyday driver slash rental slash we could house it. And she picked the van out, so I wanted a classic Westy, old school, very like air-cooled. That was a hard no from her. We did a 13-day trip in a 76 Westfalia in the middle of summer to Arizona and New Mexico, and I don't think that was going to happen full-time. So slight upgrade to the Eurovan, and then another upgrade to Griswold here.
I want to kind of transition over to GoCamp, which is your company. If you want to just explain what it is.
GoCamp it's a woman-led and founded company. It started in Portland, Oregon, with the founder, Deborah Kane, who was renting out an Airbnb, and then she had her Eurovan that was sitting outside of it. People kept renting the Airbnb and saying like, hey, it'd be really cool if we could rent your camper van. That's not a thing, like that doesn't exist. But that question kept coming up, and then this kind of rental economy started changing. So she started GoCamp by walking around Portland and asking a bunch of van owners to randomly rent out their van and just kind of trust her that it would all work out. And then all be told, this last year, Storyteller Overland acquired GoCamp in November of last year and gave the company a lot of runway to grow and hire people like myself. So it went from a team of about 3 to about 15. And the basics of it are, it sounds cheesy, but we just want to get people outside, and particularly in campervans. That's the space that we really love. That's kind of our niche. There's a lot of other, we'll say, van rental sites or camping rental sites, but we focus specifically on campervans, and we're highly curated as well. By the time this video is live, there'll probably be about 300 vans across the country that are part of our fleet. They're all privately owned, and we're here to really help the owners succeed and help to get people in the right van for the right trip at the right time. So we're very, very hands-on, having a really good time. It's the best company I've ever worked for by a mile. Very supportive, very great company, and everybody's just kind of on that same wavelength of growing this space and getting people outside of cities, basically.
Why would somebody rent a van?
A lot of different reasons. I break them down in a couple of buckets. One of them is try before you buy. So somebody's looking to purchase a particular style van, maybe from a particular type of builder, or just they want to check out a Transit versus a Mercedes versus a ProMaster versus a Ford Econoline, and they just don't know. I think a lot of you watching this, if you've been in several vans, sometimes you just don't know what you want until you know. Some people will just take out different models before they go and put a large deposit down or before they start a long van build. Number two we have some people that just want a one-time trip. Once in a lifetime, they've done the hotels, they've done the cruise ships, they've done all the other styles of traveling, and they just want to do one big, epic, awesome road trip, go see a bunch of national parks, stay in a really cool van, have a good time. And then the other one are a lot of people that are van curious for full-time living. And again, you don't know what you don't know until you know it. The difference between, do I need a medium roof or a high roof, could be a really big deal for certain people depending on it. Do I want an inside shower? Do I want an inside bathroom versus do I want more bed space? And having access to all types of different vehicles. We have vehicles from the 70s all the way until we have 2023 models that are getting listed right now. So we have everything in between for people to try out.
I would say that some people would think it's expensive. What would be the benefit to somebody doing that?
When we look at the pricing structure for this model, what we try to do a lot is compare it to what pricing would be for a hotel and airfare and your standard trip. I definitely, the first time before we ran, I was like, oh, it seems like a lot for a van, you know, that we're renting out. But when we started looking into it, the van was also our airfare, our living space, restaurant. It was our everything. On our trips in particular, the first one we took, we ended up saving quite a bit of money because we were cooking ourselves. We went grocery shopping. We hung out in the van. We did more outdoors things besides, you know, going into a lot of big cities and blowing all of our money essentially. It's an experience too. It's very different than the hotel room experience versus the cruise experience. If you are not very adventurous and that's not your style, I would say maybe I don't recommend it because you know, it can be a wild ride out there too. And camper vans, if you think about them, they're just little apartments on wheels. Things clatter and move and roll around, and they're big, and you got to find out how to drive them and park them. But overall, our style of travel we love is this style. Like, we would spend way more on this than the other kind of, I'd say, creature comforts, because it is much more adventurous. It's much more fun for us personally.
Who sets the price? Is it the owner or the company?
So the owner, they come in with a base price, and then the company split down into two. So we have a customer service side and we have an owner success side. So our customer service team, they're talking with renters. They're just working all of the details, making sure that the insurance is good, roadside assistance, their trip dates are all set up. And on the other side, the owner success team is the team that I'm on. We work with owners to help them be successful. So our whole goal is to meet whatever their goal. We have some owners where this is very much a business opportunity for them now. They had purchased the van in 2020 and, you know, the time of COVID, and lived in it full time for a while. Now they're back in the office, kind of going through the normal grind. Campervan was just sitting around, so they said, let's try to rent it as much as possible. We have some that live in their vans half of the year, and then they rent it out half of the year, depending on their kind of life situation. And then we have some van owners that are a mix of like us. So I use my van quite a bit. I set basically the goal of just kind of having it rented out enough to pay for it and then using it the rest of the time. So it's not really a business for us. It's just we don't want to pay for it essentially all the time, and it helps us do that. And a lot of other van owners are doing that same thing. The conversation on pricing is back and forth. In the long run, the owner does set the price with a lot of poking from myself and my team.
So it is a great benefit to people that want to try it out, but it's also a great benefit to those that already own vans. And I know, like you said, there's some people that jumped into the lifestyle, then they're like, well, maybe I don't want to do this 100%. So what are some of the perks for people that want to rent out their vans?
On our side, we do basically two different setups and process. One we call Pro and one we call Light. With GoCamp Pro, we are listing your van on GoCamp and Outdoorsy simultaneously. We're managing the account for you. We're doing all of the customer service up until the point when somebody books your van, and then we hand that over to the van owner to do the checkout, make sure that they're contacting with the renter, pick up and drop off. We take 20% of the base rental fee times however many nights, and then all of the additional things like a cleaning fee, a pet fee, add-ons, all of that goes 100% to our owners. And on the other side, for smaller fleets or people that have businesses and are doing their own rentals but also want to be on GoCamp, we do what's called GoCamp Lite, where we will just build them a profile on GoCamp. They can manage all of the other websites, making sure they're not getting double booked. But I would say right now, over 95% of our van owners are on the Pro, basically saying, you know, GoCamp, you guys are great at this, you guys handle it. And they also get professional photography with that package as well, and that's at no additional cost. Sounds funny, we get this question a lot. There are no startup fees, there are no hidden fees. We had a voicemail yesterday where somebody said, hey, this sounds way too good to be true. What are you guys doing? And we just said, no, it's the type of company we're trying to build.
Where can people rent the vans? What states?
I think we are in 29 states in 50 different cities within those states. And hopefully by the time this goes live, we should be live in Puerto Rico as well. So we're going to continue to grow in 2023 for the East Coast and the Midwest. We have a lot of West Coast vans right now. So up and down the coast, a lot of vans basically. San Diego all the way up to Oregon, all kinds of vans, but we're starting to get them all over the country. So we have a lot of East Coast van owners that are really into the space. We just listed a small fleet out in Washington, D.C. So for a lot of people just trying to get out of that city once in a while and take a nice weekend escape.
But there's one place they can't take the vans, and that's Burning Man. Why?
So we've had a lot of things happen with Burning Man. The general of is that the dust there, it really is damaging to vans. This past Burning Man may have the most damage I've ever seen from the van world. So they got caught into a whiteout, they couldn't leave. huge sandstorm. I personally know several van owners whose vans are done. All the dust got into the engine components, and it's ugly right now. If a van owner is going to let you go to Burning Man in their van and they've signed off on it, be very nice to their van. But in long and short, please don't take people's vans to Burning Man. You know, a lot of us really love our vans. We really care about them, and it is really damaging to them.
What's some of the common feedback you get when people return the vans, the renters?
That's probably my favorite part about the whole thing. They're always just so stoked. Like, it's really fun for us that the vast majority of people that have taken out my vans, this is their first time ever being in a camper van, and you just see like their eyes light up in the experience. And oh, we went to Big Sur and we went to Yosemite. My vans have gone to Zion. I have had an engagement in my van. We have had families, a lot of people from the UK, a lot of people from Germany. I've had Aussies in the van. So people just kind of on the same wavelength of wanting to get out and to explore, to just have this unique experience. And I find that a lot in van life in the camper van space. A lot of people are very connected in that way. You know, I always kind of say, if you get it, you get it. And if you don't, maybe try it and then you might get it. And that's a lot of the feedback, is just like really, really, really happy people. So from my side, it's probably the best thing I could ever imagine. I get to work for a company that does this, rent out my whole vans. It helps me pay for my vans. And then I get other people to have these incredible experiences. In my job interview, I said, hey, this is kind of a dream job. And I was like, I know that sounds really cheesy, but it really is. Like, all the things I really enjoy, I kind of just loop them all together.
What's the longest trip you and your family have been on?
Longest trip for us has been about 17 days total, and that was with our little one in that one. So we did a little break in between, and we stayed with some family in New Mexico. But the overall trip, we were pretty much on the road most of the time. And then at the end of this recording, I'm about to be in Griswolds here for about 3 weeks or so. So I'm going to be going to some events up and down California, then out to Vegas, and then back down here to San Diego. I'll be on the road for quite a while.
You have one child now, but you have one on the way. So what's it like traveling with kids?
It's kind of just how you manage everything. We just try to make everything as fun as possible. And we as parents, when we get into the on the road mode, like, we try to just drop our serious side or like the work side, and it's just camping. In GoCamp and in our vans, we always just say, like, it's just camper van. Sometimes they get cranky and they get tired. When we'd have that, we just throw her up on the pop top and take the ladder away and say, you'll fall asleep eventually up there. But for our daughter specifically, we want her to be really curious. We want her to be adventurous. We want to show her all these different parts to life. So we really just kind of let her explore and let her be. We don't try to put a lot of restraints on, especially with the van. It's very set up for her to just rummage around and just have fun.
What have you learned about yourself through this journey?
I think for me, a lot of it is that there's this very nomadic at heart style about me. It's very like wanderlust, wanting to be traveling and not be grounded in one spot, but having a family and being in a company where we work hard and we have to do a lot of things to grow the company. What it's done is help me know that there's both of those, and I can always have that. If I'm sitting in my home office and it's just like, I just don't want to be in my home office today, like, I have this experience. I can literally jump in my van. I can take off. I think that's actually, I was working when we met the first time. I was just like, I just need to see the water. I need to see the ocean. I need to see some boats, you know, and you just park somewhere else and it gets you out of your own environment. One of my coworkers, she says, go where you want to be. And that's kind of something that was passed down from her dad to her. Just, I think that's really important. And I think that this type of vehicle specifically helps you to do that. It helps you just kind of go where you need to go at that time.
What do you think the future of van life is?
I honestly think it's going to keep growing and growing and growing. This is more on the data side, so this is more on the business side. The RV space, kind of your traditional RVs, your 100-footers, things like that, they are not selling as well as they used to. The trailer side of the market is still really large, but that's also kind of dwindling, and we're seeing millennial generation and the generations under really like camper vans. They like compact space, stealth park it somewhere. They have that same experience out in the middle of the forest. And there's a lot more builders now. There's a lot more people doing it at different price points with different features. So as that starts to grow, it gives people a lot more options of what they can do. And there's a ton of DIY resources now. I truly, truly, truly believe anybody on earth can find a chassis, find a van, gut it out, go on YouTube, and there might be a few cuss words, scrapes and bruises, tears, but they will have a camper van that they can live in and enjoy and have fun and get out there.
What is your advice for somebody that's curious about van life and just not sure if they want to embark on it?
For me, I would say just reach out to the community of van life or people that are doing it. Or if you're driving around and you see a group of van lifers because they like to hang out together, just pop in and say, hey, I'm curious. Would you guys mind giving me a few minutes? Can you talk about this? YouTube is another gigantic resource right now for anybody. I mean, the content out there is amazing, from not only what type of van do I need, but like what type of toilet should I have in my van, or should I have a toilet in my van, to, hey, here's where I put my dishes and here's how I keep them from rattling in the van. There's so much good content out there. I would say just keep being curious, keep asking questions, keep looking into stuff.
If somebody wants to get in touch with you or your company, how can they do that?
So you can go to GoCampCampervans.com, or my email is eric@GoCampRentals.com. Call in, you can email us, send us a smoke signal, send us a postcard, anything. As a company, we want to hear your experience, what you're looking for, if you're looking to buy, if you're looking to rent out your van. We are literally always here to have those conversations and help you in any way that we can.
Okay, so that was an awesome interview. Thank you, Eric, for being on the channel.
Yeah.
But also on the next video, we're going to be touring Griswold, and you're not even going to believe it, but it's a 2-story van. You can't see it right now, but it's 2 stories, and you're not going to want to miss it. So we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Snack time.